Y'all may be seated. Ms. Dominguez, do we have anyone for open forum?
No, sir, we do not.
Next item is going to be Superintendent's report.
Good evening, Board President, Mr. De Los Rios, members of the board, and Donna ISD community. We're going to start our evening off this evening with a couple of distinctions. And so I'll open up with a district highlight. Tonight we have Carlisle Insurance with our PCAT District Bus Driver of the Year. So if I can have them come up, please.
I'm going to take this mask off so you can hear me. I'm Tom Carlisle. I'm actually the president of Carlisle Insurance. My son Chase is actually your representative, but he had a conflict with Edinburgh, and so y'all are the lucky ones. Y'all got me tonight. So I really enjoy coming out and seeing school boards and people that are doing this, and it really is something I've done several down here, and it amazes me. Y'all run some of the most professional, great meetings with very little infighting that I've ever seen. So I admire all of y'all being here. I'm going to kind of start off and just saying to the school boards, the administrators, and guests, on behalf of PCAT and Carlisle Insurance, I want to thank you for the opportunity to honor one of our employees. Each day, school bus drivers are entrusted with the safety transporting our children to and from school. No matter the weather conditions or the traffic, their performance on the road must always be an A+. PCAT and Carlisle Insurance recognize that school bus drivers help set the tone for the children's daily experiences. You could say that they are our school's ambassadors. Typically, the bus driver is the first person the child sees in the morning and the last one they see in the afternoon. And just as it's said about great school teachers, PCAT and Carlisle believes that the same holds true for the best school bus drivers. It's not a job, it's a calling. This year, following a selection process by the district, one exceptional driver was chosen to be the district's PCAT Bus Driver of the Year. So on behalf of PCAT, it's my honor to present Mr. Bernabe Bayi with the 2021-22 PCAT Bus Driver of the Award commendation, along with a 20-ounce Yeti tumbler and a tote bag, both embossed with Bus Driver of the Year. Please give me a hand for congratulating Mr. Bayi. Here's your present, and I'm going to give you this. There's also a very, very nice certificate. I visited with him. I think he's been a bus driver for 3 years, he told me. So you've got a great employee here, and he seems very dedicated. So here's your deal, and I congratulate you. Thank you very much.
I'm going to ask our board if we could take a photo really quick with our Bus Driver of the Year, Mr. Banabi, and thank you, sir.
Symmetry.
Thank you very much, Mr. Carlisle. At this time, we also have another special guest, Mr. Rene Guajardo from the STC Board, to recognize our Board of Trustees this evening. So, Mr. Guajardo, if you could join me at the podium.
Thank you so much, man. How are you, man? Good. Buenas noches a todos. Mi nombre es René Guajardo. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I was going to do a dual language presentation, so please excuse me. I'm here to talk about dual enrollment, but honestly, on a serious note, I just want to thank the Board of Trustees, our Superintendent of Schools, and all the teachers and all the administration that prepares kids to go to college. I know that this past year we had 16 students get a degree from the college. And again, that's very commendable. And I know that it takes a village to get these kids ready. And I know because of the pandemic, it's been a struggle as of late because our kids have fallen behind. But I just want to assure the district and I want to assure the people of this community that we're going to do our very best to get these kids ready to go. I know that you all are doing a great job here in this district, and we want to continue the relationship that we have. So, again, without you all, we wouldn't be able to do the things that we've been able to do. Again, I personally, I always share a personal anecdote. I know a couple of years ago, my daughter attended college, STC, as she was going to high school, as a lot of students here at Donna ISD are doing. And again, you know, she got her associate's degree and she goes on over to St. Mary's. And I think that this, you know, this story speaks volumes of what we're doing at the college. Because, I mean, she's able to, you know, to graduate from St. Mary's University in a year and a half because, again, the schools are doing a great job, the college is doing a great job, and that's what this is about. So, again, I just want to commend the job that Donna ISD is doing for our students, and we want to continue our partnership with Donna ISD, and we are here to serve. And again, I'm a representative of Donna ISD, so if y'all ever have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out. And again, I just want to thank the board, the superintendent, and I want to thank all the administrators and all the teachers and staff that get these students ready to go. Again, thank y'all so much, and thank you for the time, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Good seeing you.
And board members, you have a small token of appreciation from STC at your seats this evening. All
Mr.
right.
Dominguez,
Yes, sir.
I want to give a public thank you to Mr. Rene Guajardo, actually trustee with STC, who's taking his time to come in person. So that's the accommodations to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, at this time, we'll continue with the superintendent's update. This evening, I'm bringing to you an update of where we're at in the district with regard to our strategic goals. So first off, I joined the district about 4 months ago now in October. So we're at the point now where I've had an opportunity to really look, listen, and learn with many stakeholders in the district. And so I want to give the board an update of where we're at. We had our look, listen, and learn tours early on when I came into the district. Our lunch and learn tour with students will actually wrap up this Friday at our last site. We have regular cabinet and principals meetings, and then one-on-one meeting with stakeholders. So to date, we've had 16 sessions across the district and met with approximately 400 parents and staff members. We visited 22 campuses and met with approximately 220 students in a small group setting. And then our weekly and monthly principals meetings. And then we've held more than 150 individual meetings to receive feedback from stakeholders. So the board adopted our strategic goals along with our update to the LSG goals in January, the first being a focus on student success. So what have we been doing behind the scenes with the feedback that we've received? There are two things that have been happening: short-term goals and corrections or course corrections, and long-term goals that we've been working on as a part of the 5-year plan. The first is our, got off track. apologize. All right, the first is our Recess and Ready edition. So our students were loud and clear, and our teachers, about the need to reinvigorate recess at our elementary campuses. So you see some images here of our students and our staff. We've also implemented an elementary athletics program, and so kids were asking for extended day opportunities to enhance their skills and engage in social fun. The other area that we were able to address immediately under Goal 1 is the instructional focus. So one of the things that we heard early on is that students were still kind of in that COVID mode of behind the computer screen and not engaging directly with teachers. We heard this from both staff and our students and our parents as well. So we've moved back to more teacher-directed learning and supports in the classroom, and I think that this has had a tremendous impact. You'll hear that in our Goal 1 presentation this evening. Another big area is our kids have been asking for books. So there's a great thing about to happen. We're actually sending home books over spring break with all of our kinder through 8th grade students. Students in K through 5th grade will also receive the book in Spanish. If they're in our bilingual program, they'll get both copies. And it'll be a common read across grade levels in all of those grades. So we've got a lot of great things happening with our literacy initiatives. The board dug in and reviewed our LSG goals. So we've made updates there with our board policy AE local that are really reflective of the needs of our students and strategic goals that we can meet. The second strategic goal is a focus on family and community engagement. In this area, we've heard that there was a need for extended communication. So one thing that we've implemented is our Tribal News newsletter. This newsletter has allowed us to capture great things that are happening in the district. And then we're able to take snippets of that and also post that on our social media. So our views for the Tribal News were at 800 views in the January issue, 1,100 or 1,300 views for the February issue. But what we're finding is, as we post these individual snippets, they're also getting a lot of attention from the community. The picture that you see here for the Capturing Kids' Hearts was such an exciting picture that actually Capturing Kids' Hearts asked us for the opportunity to display it nationally, and give credit to Donna ISD. Our web page has gone through a facelift. So one of the things that we've been working on is creating a common calendar. So you'll see at the bottom here that the calendar is now updated on the web page refresh. This will allow campus calendars to bleed all into the district calendar. So every time a school site updates their calendar, you'll see it on the district page. So we're in the process of training our campuses, but this is really going to enhance communication with our families. Our parent education series of Capable Kids has launched with our parent educators. This is a tremendous program to help develop the skill sets of parents and support the work they do in home. And then we're pre-planning for next year. So we've been having a lot of planning sessions, really going deep with our committees on how we will support our families moving forward. The third strategic goal is a focus on operational excellence. Our team has really looked closely at the TASB study. We've had an opportunity to actually engage in some of the repairs and needed revisions to school sites already. So our facilities roofing repairs have been completed at a couple of sites. They're just getting started at others. So you've got some updates on dates when those will be happening, but we are definitely in the works in this area. The other thing we've asked the team to do is create a long-range plan. So facilities don't get diminished overnight. It happens over time and without having a clear plan. So our team is actually creating a 5-year plan for refresh, renovation, and creating a budget to match and reflect that so that we can be fiscally responsible. Our HVAC projects are completed at Donna High. This is one we were struggling with at the start of the year, and we have multiple HVAC pieces that are in process at this point. The next exciting news is Rivas Primary Discovery Academy. So this campus had some needs according to the TASB study with flooring and walls. We'll also be revamping this site to include some early primary setups that'll be a little bit more innovative and differentiated for our students at this learning facility. And I want to thank our team because that site is actually relocating after spring break. Our teachers have been working very hard to pack up. They'll be moving next door to Casares so that construction can start early. and that early learning center will be hopefully ready for the first day of school. Goal 4 in our strategic plan is the focus on employees and organizational excellence. In this goal, we've actually had an opportunity to dig into some training for both student and staff mental health awareness. So our Capturing Kids' Hearts, we extended that to additional sites. The other thing that we've been engaging in with UTRGV is a training called Adult Mental Health and Student Mental Health. They've trained a majority of our central office team. They'll start working with campus teams, and they actually are launching at Donna North next, I think right after spring break, with a student leader team of how to identify student mental health issues and support your peers. We'll be the first school district in the Valley to launch that partnership. Donna ISD opened up the window for substitute teachers. We're really excited about this. There's actually a news piece that will be coming out. We are one of the few school districts in the Valley that have an internal substitute pool. When we posted for these positions, we were excited to see the response. People want to work directly in Donna. We have over 621 applicants that have started the process to become substitutes in Donna ISD. We've cleared 55 that have started working in our district already, which was a huge plus for teachers that were struggling to get substitutes. These subs are already in the rooms working with our students, which is really exciting for us. And because we've only posted about 60 days, we're clearing at least one substitute a day. So we're hoping to accelerate that process as people continue to complete their paperwork. We take very seriously the physical well-being of our students. So I talked to you a little bit about our READY program, but we've also engaged in a 5K run, and we're planning an elementary track meet for the spring to help our students continue with that healthy lifestyle in our community. The other area that we've added is an online application system that is called Talent Ed. This is really helping us to streamline our human resources programs, process employees quickly, and then have a database set up on the back end to support evaluation, employment information. And then finally, goal 5 in our strategic plan is a focus on financial stewardship. The number one thing that we have been looking at is enrollment. And so we are all aware that as a result of COVID and even pre-COVID, many districts across the Valley and across the United States began losing student enrollment. This has been very extenuating. We're starting to see that students are actually not enrolling at all. And so we're very worried about our students. We've identified some students that kind of, I think an article came out last week that they're ghost students. They came to us, they were our students, they said they were withdrawing to go to another schooling opportunity, and they have not enrolled anywhere. So we will be doing some home visits, some tracking. You're going to see our We Want You Back campaign, because it is important that students are enrolled in school for their well-being. But it's also important for us to, as a district, to have students enrolled in our campuses. The budget team has been working very diligently to start planning the budget for next year, so we anticipate we'll be early on in that process. Our district improvement plan is well underway. We're actually almost completed with the district improvement plan for 22-23, and this drives the budget. So we have to create that comprehensive needs assessment, look at what our district needs are, create a plan, and then we build our budget. So I will say our team is ahead of schedule, and we are looking good in this area. And then finally, our Donna ISD has had an A+ superior rating with the state of Texas on the budget and finance area. So that was just a quick update on where we're at with strategic goals. Those are some of the short-term things that we've accomplished collectively since I got here in October. We look forward to sharing with you the long-range plan. I think that the board will be very pleased with the 5-year strategic plan that rolls out these areas and helps us to continue to enhance and grow. All right, and at this time, that concludes the superintendent's update.
Thank you, ma'am. Next item on the agenda, Ms. McMahon,
Lone Star Governance.
our governance.
Mhm. No, that's our update. Mhm.
Well, wait till she sits down. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, members of the board, Ms. Dominguez. Tonight I'm going to report out on the Lone Star Governance report on Goal 2. But before I begin, I want to make sure that that the community knows that the Board of Trustees is doing everything to accomplish the vision and mission statement of the district, pushing kids forward and making sure that they are the #1 outcome of the district, and making sure that all students who go through Donna ISD graduate college, career, and military ready. So that's the forefront of our efforts. And as Ms. Dominguez stated, the Lone Star governance goals are aligned with the strategic plan goal 1, which is the focus on student achievement. And I get the pleasure of watching the CNI team work, and they are doing a great job toward this end. So the intended outcomes of today's presentation is just to review the board goal 2, what the expectations are. I know Ms. Dominguez kind of mentioned it a little bit. Review the data that we have from Amplify, and review the reinforcements and refinements, and then finally to look at the examination by Ms. Dominguez on goal 2. Just a reminder, the board goal 2 is the percentage of third grade students that meet and exceed grade level proficiency on the state reading assessment will increase from 9% to 47%. 9% was the actual percent that we saw in our baseline year last year in 2021. So we utilized, like you all know, we discussed in the reformulation of the Lone Star governance goals. We're trying to get back to our pre-pandemic achievements and then grow from there. So that's why we chose the Start to 21 to be the baseline. So this is the data. It's all in one page. It's kind of concise. I kind of want to explain how to read it very quickly. You see bars going across the different grade levels. Those are the
Mr. Ray.
Yes.
I'm sorry, quick. We don't have that in our laptop?
I'm not sure, sir.
I don't think it's on here. I'm just trying to find it. It's okay, keep going, I can't see that, but normally it's here in the.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. I don't know if it's your laptop. Okay, so on the graph that you see here, you see some bars going across each of the grade levels, and those are the expected achievement levels of the various grade levels. In kindergarten, it's 24% that we're trying to achieve by end of this year. First grade is 30%, second grade is 34%, and third grade is 17%. So the bar graphs that you see going up and down, the maroon, black, and gold, the maroon is the end of last year's performance. We call it end of the year, or EOY 2021. And you can see them at 41%, 33, 37, and 9, and respectively 9 and 6. The black bar graphs that you see are the beginning of the year. That's what we started off in the beginning of the year. And we actually use a grade level assessment below, so we can get some kind of, because we thought of the learning loss, and so we wanted to get a good idea as to where our students stood at that time. And you see them at the black. And the gold. The gold is where we are in the middle of the year. And you can see that in the kindergarten levels in both English and Spanish, we are on target to reach that particular goal, actually surpass it at this time, hitting 41% and 36% English and Spanish respectively. They're doing very well in kindergarten. In first grade, our English reading has already met the target, and we are in good position to meet the target in the Spanish by end of the year. In second grade, we're doing even better than first, and it's a good sign because these are readers. We're looking at the readers that are coming up, and our percentages are continue to go up, and we met the target in second grade and getting close to in the Spanish. In third grade, we are making some progress. We are still kind of low, but we've already surpassed last year's end of the year performance, which is a very good sign. We always want to improve. We always want to go up. You see the black graphs are very, very low at the beginning of the year, but we have made some significant, 13 percentage points is significant gains. And so based on the growth, we should be able to meet this year's percentage or goal by the end of the year. And next, for the refinements and reinforcements will be Ms. Powson.
Good evening, Board President, Mr. De Los Rios, members of the board, Superintendent Dominguez, and the Donna ISD community. So I'm going to be talking about the reinforcements, the things that we're doing well in the area of early childhood reading, and then the refinements, the pieces that we're cognizant of, but things that we know that we need to improve on. And so, like Mr. Villanueva showed, we're on track to meet all of the end of year targets that we have set with the revised board goals. So that's something that hasn't happened before, and so it's going to feel like a little sigh of relief that we're actually, meeting that goal. But at the same time, we're not going to be happy until we have 100% of our kids, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, and the third grade, until we have them reading at grade level. And so one of the things that we're doing well, that we've been working on, is the Amplify middle of year reports. So the data that you just saw, that reading data is coming from the Amplify program. And so when everyone was supposed to finish testing in January, but January was a rough month as far as the COVID surge that happened. And so there was a lot of absences and a lot of teachers were out. So by the beginning of February, that's when we had the reports completed, all of the testing was done. And so we've really dug into the reports and are using that data to target specific classrooms and students for additional support. So our early childhood coordinator, we have her with us tonight, Miss Campos Villegas. This is her first board meeting here since being approved. She's been working. What we've done is we've really dug in. So we're not taking these reports at the surface level. We're actually looking at targeting specific classrooms. And then from there, we're targeting specific groups of students. And then from there, those students, what specific component of reading are they struggling in? And then what they're doing, and in the pictures there on the left-hand side, you'll see Ms. Campos Villegas. She's working specifically with students. And then you have Ms. Lily Serrano on the other side. She was our early childhood strategist for reading, who's also working directly with these students. So we're digging really deep. And when we did that deep dig, what we found was that there's 85 kinder through second grade classrooms. And we found 52 of them. So while the data is very positive and we're meeting the goals, but we did find 52 classrooms where there are pockets of students that had limited growth. And so the classrooms that they're going into, the students that you see them working with, those are those 52 classrooms, those pockets of kids. So I think that's something that we're really doing well, and we're going to continue to target, and we're working with the teachers on targeting those students also. And really what we're seeing that they're struggling in, those two components, the reading components, is letter name fluency and just letter sound identification, and so they're having trouble blending. And so that's what we're working with students with. So you see that they're there working with the flashcards, the manipulative, seeing if they can blend the words and make the sounds. So that's one thing that's going well. The other thing, we have seen, like Ms. Dominguez mentioned, since the beginning of the year, a big shift away from, just everything on a iPad in the lower grades. So they are using more physical manipulatives, and it's important for both reading and math at the lower levels. And so they're using the letter tiles, the magnetic letters to do the blending, using the blending mats. And so they're doing that in small group instruction with the teacher assistance help. And so that's something that we're working on well, that we're doing well. As far as the progress monitoring, so one thing that the campuses are doing an excellent job of maintaining that that progress monitoring in Amplify, it happens every 2 weeks, and the campuses they're doing it with fidelity, and we are monitoring the monitoring of that. And so across the board, we're seeing that it's going well. And last year, this is the second year that Amplify has been in the district, and last year this progress monitoring wasn't in place. And it's understandable because most of the kids, it was virtual, but it wasn't happening. And so this year it is, and I kind of thought the last time when I went in to check and Amplify, and I thought, there's testing going on right now, TELPUS, all kinds of things happening. They probably are going to need some additional time. And I went in and I saw that almost all the campuses were almost at 100% on their progress monitoring. So even during the busy, crazy time that it is right now, they're still sticking with it. So I think that's something that we're doing very well. As far as the areas of refinement, and I'm going to feature this on the left-hand side. This is a teacher assistant at Adame Elementary. Her name is Miss Mesa. And Miss Mesa is a teacher assistant to a kinder teacher, Miss Calderon. And she is an exemplar of what we are looking for in teacher assistants that are in those classrooms K through second. Because every time you go into the classroom, she's there working with a small group of students, and the things that she's working on are those basic foundational reading skills that they need. And so that's something that we know that we need. We want all of our teacher assistants to be implementing the training that they've received. And so I just wanted to feature her because she's always doing an excellent job. And there's others that are always working with students, but she's just a prime example of what we want to see. So the two big pieces that we need to continue to work on is, the first thing is restructuring the reading block. So in kinder through second grade, you normally see anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes of phonics, of actual phonics instruction. And so what we've seen with the data from Amplify on the BOY to the MOY is that they really need to focus longer, spend more time on phonics, on those basic skills, the letter sounds, the fluency. And so what we've been working with teachers as they go out into the classrooms one-on-one with the teachers is getting the teachers to extend the amount of time that they're spending on phonics from if they were doing 30 minutes, we're asking them to do 45 to 60 minutes, because even though we've already surpassed a lot of the goals, we know that we can really push harder, and we can get these kids where they need to be by the end of the year. We really think, we've been doing this, like I said, this has started in February, but I'm presenting this in March. So we were in 3 months, we can do a lot with these grade levels. So restructuring the reading block, and then we're also working with Ms. Castañeda, who's working with the elementary principals on the specific, those targeted classrooms that I talked about, where we're finding those pockets of kids, the hot spots. So she is working with Ms. Villegas, and they're going out and they're visiting those classrooms and visiting with the principals and talking about that reading block. The second thing is that January kind of derailed a lot of the training that was happening with the teacher assistants. So they had the early childhood coordinator and the reading strategist, the reading department, they were training campuses in January. However, not all of them got to be trained at that time. So there's still some that need additional training. The type of training that they've been able to do is more like job embedded training, where they're kind of coaching them there on the spot as far as what the TAs should be doing. So really, we need to work on ensuring that teacher assistants are implementing that training and that they're helping with small group instruction. So that exemplar there of Miss Mesa at Adame Elementary, that's the exemplar. That's where we want to get to with all of the teacher assistants. And so there's 6 campuses that we've identified that need additional training. And so we're working with Ms. Castañeda and the campuses on that piece. And so that goes to the next part. And so I think this is the superintendent evaluation. So if there was any questions.
Well, I don't have questions, but I've got a couple of comments. First of all, commendations to the CNI. I mean, when you mentioned about the kinder programs you got, the going to the campus, going to the classroom, going to the students, to all students, I'm just looking at special pops. And when you say the word dig, that's exactly what we've been talking about in terms of it looks good in the surface, but what does it look like after you open the barrels and so forth? Then you get down to the very bottom, you find things that haven't been stirred up, but they're ready to get stirred up. And so that truly is a lot of work. It's a combination to Ms. Powson and the rest of you, because it has to take place, and that's the only way to do it. I mean, every single day. If a kid doesn't go home, mom and dad ask them, what did you learn today? And they say nothing, which is typically the answer. But once you start, having that dialogue, they'll say one thing that they learned. That's one. Secondly, I think it's important when you mentioned all students, because to me, that's something about talking about special pops. And I know that bilingual, whether it be bilingual at the elementary level or ESL when they come into secondary, is very critical. Ms. Dominguez, I know we've talked about this, that sometime April the 1st, maybe, not an April Fool's, but April 1st, the district is supposed to have a program that everybody's going to buy into. Porque podemos hablar español, el español nunca se va a ir de aquí. And we can also answer questions in English. So puede hablar con la abuelita. I can talk to my friends. What's so difficult about that? And that's what we need to get across to our teachers, because they're the ones that have the believers, so they can get it to the students. And, this is great. So I don't know how y'all feel about this, but I mean, again, we're definitely heading in the right direction. When you talk about the goals, I mean, yeah, those are baby steps. We got to go, to the top. Which brings me to the last point here. I really liked the fact that you, your department, C&I, made those posters, visual. Tell me what I have to do to pass this state test. Tell me what about it, okay? Once you see that, it's like papitas, papitas. So why does everybody make a big thing about it? Because sometimes we don't talk to the kids. We make it think like it's a big old, it's not. So from my point of view, commendations to all of you. We're certainly proud of what you're doing. Keep up the great work. Thank you.
Yes.
Maybe more clarification. When I'm looking at the graph for the end of year, middle of the year, so for example, like the kinder students in English for the end of year,
For
40%, they would be the first graders
This year.
middle of the year, right?
Yes.
Correct? I
The
think,
41%.
yes,
from
okay. I
last
think,
year.
Dr. McMahon, does that clarify what you were
Yeah,
asking?
I was just trying to point out, so if it was kindergarten end of the year at 41%, they dropped to 22 for the BOI, but you have now brought them back up from 22 to 30, right? So you can look at this as a cohort fashion or a standalone by grade level as well.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that has to do also is that the assessment being used. So now we're using, last year, that end of year data that you're looking at was from Imagine Learning.
Oh, so
And
it's
so,
different.
and there was no Spanish component.
Uh-huh.
And so you're
Exactly.
seeing kind of a jumbled number there
Yeah.
at that 41%. But the black bar and the gold bar, those are both from Amplify, which is the one that we use for our ECDS submission. So you can say that from 15% at the beginning of the year to 41%, absolutely, like that is the growth.
Different instrument.
So it's a different instrument, so that's,
Got it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Yes, so we're tracking the goal in both the English and the Spanish. And one thing that I'll just add is that I know it's not part of this presentation, but we also recently digged into the pre-K 4 students. They use the CLI Engage the Circle. And I just want to say that the 4-year-olds, they're doing an awesome job right now. Right now we have like 70% of them are already like on track in both reading skills. I can't say it's just reading in general, but reading skills and math. And so the 4-year-olds, like next year in kindergarten, like they're gonna be good. Yeah, watch out, they're gonna be good.
And the targets?
And I think what was the targets at the top, can you just clarify on those, the targets
Do
again?
those represent a number or are they just a photograph?
It's symbolic.
Okay, so one thing that you might want to consider, because the one thing that I really think is great about this report is you're giving the board 3 former pieces of data that they can look at and see how they go. But the board probably also needs to see, and so are those lines the annual target
That's,
for this
yeah,
year?
so
Okay, make that clarification. So those blue lines are the annual target, and you have second grade that's already exceeded your annual target. And then maybe something that just shows where is that in the realms of our deadline target within 4 years. So they kind of see the 3 years that we've got, are we meeting what we said we were gonna do this year? And how does that align? Do you guys think that would be helpful for you guys for the 4-year deadline target down the road? So other than that, I think it's wonderful, awesome. Best one I've ever seen.
Thank you.
And lastly, thank you for both of you and the CNI for everybody working together and doing an outstanding job. We have so much confidence in all of you, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
That concludes our LSG goal presentation this evening.
Do I have a motion to accept?
I move to accept.
Second,
Mr. Valdez? Mrs. Watts? I also vote in favor, motion carries. Next item, consent agenda. Ms. Dominguez, do we have anything to pull out? Everything's good?
No, sir, not at this time.
Do I have a motion?
Mr. Del Rios, I make a motion to accept consent agenda as noted.
I second the motion.
Second by Ms. Valdez. Mr. Valdez? In favor. Ms. Watts? In favor. I also vote in favor, motion carries. Next item is the governance report from Ms. Romero. She is online somewhere.
She dropped.
You want to go ahead and jump in, Ms. McMahon? And then we'll just wait for her to kick in?
Give me one moment.
I'm gonna breathe for a minute. Okay. All right. It is always such a pleasure to see each and every one of you. Thank you for letting me be here tonight. I have to tell you, there is one thing that I witnessed this evening that in all of my years as a Lone Star governance coach, I have never seen. Seriously. Never seen. And I want to see if you can figure out what it is. I gave you a packet with the Lone Star Governance Manual, and I want you to turn to page 29 or 27, which is the board evaluates but does not interfere with progress towards improving student outcome goals. In one of the indicators, you guys were given something that we talk about a lot in Lone Star governance that belongs to the superintendent and not the board. Take a peruse and see if you can figure out what it is. I can tell you skip the does not focus line.
Evaluating the superintendent on results towards student.
Nope, you didn't evaluate the superintendent tonight. Look under preparing to focus.
Copies of the implementation.
What did your superintendent share with you this evening? The strategic plan, yeah. And that is the superintendent's strategic plan, not the board's strategic plan. You all wrote your goals a long time ago, and you refined them, and you're monitoring them, but the strategic plan is the superintendent's plan on how the superintendent is going to make sure that those goals are achieved. So I am going to be inviting a lot of people to watch this video tonight. So kudos to your superintendent and your board for that. I just wanted to point that out because that's not something I normally see. So tonight our task is to do your board self-evaluation. We try to do it quarterly. The last time we actually did it was in April of 2021, but the last time it was due, we had transition in leadership and getting new leadership, and so we're trying to get back on track. On the cover of your packet, I printed fresh off the press today, the Lone Star Governance Leaderboard
that is updated as of May 2021. And would anybody like to share with me who is at the lead on the leaderboard for Lone Star Governance? Donna ISD. There are 2 boards at the Masters Focus. Mansfield and Donna both have 85 points, but when it comes to student outcome minutes discussed in board meetings, who's in the lead? Donna ISD. So congratulations. Our task tonight is to see if we are still there and how we are doing. So on Framework 1, we're going to go through, I'm going to tell you where you scored yourself last time. Do you still think you're there? And what are we missing to get to that next level? And what does the superintendent and board president need to work on to make sure that by the next quarter we're making progress in that area? So on Vision 1, which is all about your student outcome goals, I think everybody in the room can agree this board has student outcome goals and has revised them with appropriate data and up-to-date data. You scored yourself at Masters Focus 12 points last time because you all agreed that the outcome goals are challenging, that they require adult behavior change, that they can be influenced by the superintendent, and they are the first priority in resourcing allocations. And then it also went back to how did we design those goals, looking at root cause analysis and looking at data. So looking at Masters Focus, remember you have to have everything in a column to get to the next column, right? So the next column is committed, the board has committed vision and student outcome goals to memory. If I asked you to tell me, if I just did a cold call and said, guys, what's goal 3? Would you just like be sweating or could you do it?
No, we have to look at a paper.
Okay, so we're definitely not there on that one. But we can get there. And you know the status of each goal. You might not be able to say it off of memory, which is why we might try to do some tracking charts in the back of the room for you. But I think the biggest one is the community piece. And that's one we've struggled with since COVID. I don't think it's a struggle because of the board. I think it's a struggle because of our circumstances with COVID. So where do you think you are, 12 or 15? I kind of told you.
I would,
Oh, really?
I would probably say 12, and only because I don't think,
Well, with the question you asked us, we're not at 15, or at least I'm not at 15.
Exactly,
I'm
right.
at 12, solid 12.
We
Take
are a
that to the bank.
solid 12. And so
Solid.
what the board president and the superintendent need to look at, and maybe we can have some conversations, are what are we missing? What are some things we can do to help with memory pieces and knowing the status, but what are some plans for community involvement? Okay. On the goal 2, goal progress measures, last time you scored yourself at a 15 on this one. There had been some work, remember that was a year ago when we scored this. I think 12 is a good solid 12, but would you still say you're at 15? Do you think you have broad community ownership of the goal progress measures?
Probably, Ms. Dominguez, is this thing working?
Yes, sir, I can
When
hear you.
When you did all your visits with the parents and so forth, was something being engaged regarding this? Did you dialogue with them? Because from the board's point of view, I think we definitely on the same page, but she could probably expound on that when it comes to community. She has been around the community quite a bit since she got here.
We did talk about our LSG goals at those sessions. However, I feel like we needed more attendance from our parents and that we probably should have partnered to do some of those. So I think this kind of goes back to that last section on vision and goals 1, that we may want to start scheduling some community meetings specifically to target these areas.
Yeah, just think of it, think of your litmus test is, I run into my friend at the barber shop or the beauty shop and get my nails done, and do they know what my goals are? If those people know what your goals are, then you have broad community involvement.
Well, how did we get that last time? We didn't have that.
That's where.
I mean, hey, call it like it is.
I know.
I think we're a solid 12 there.
I agree. I think we're a
Yeah,
solid 12.
12, yeah, but we're gonna get some ideas when it comes to that, and, you know, everybody's got their own barber. I'm gonna get me a poster, put in my barber's.
Exactly. There's
I'm
no
gonna make
reason
some
why you can't
stickers
put
for you guys to
can't-
go
can't
pass
put
out.
posters in the barber shop
I'll
and
get
the
'em.
beauty
I will
shop.
get them to, they will post them. They will. I go once a week there.
Okay, on the next one is adopted constraints. When you look at constraints, you all scored yourself a 10 last time, which is master's focus. I still think on the 10, you've adopted your theory of action, correct?
Yes.
And I don't think that's changed. A board and the superintendent agree there is broad community ownership of the constraints. So either you're gonna go back to a 9 or you're gonna score yourself at a 10. What do you want?
I say a 10 on that one.
10? Why?
Because you don't have to ask your barber for that, do you? Well, I think,
Remember, all board members and the superintendent agree there is a broad community ownership of the constraints through the involvement and communication with students, staff, and community members. I guess because of the that wonderful strategic plan, are we 100% where we want to be in community engagement? Yes or no?
No, ma'am.
Are we better off today than we were 4 months ago? Yes or no?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's go 10.
that's a solid 10.
Goal 4, same question. Last time you scored yourself as a 4, and it was community ownership of the constraint progress measures. I think that one might not have been as hit as much in some of your discussions about, these are the things that we don't want to see along in our journey, and these are how we're measuring those. Superintendent Dominguez, were those a part of your conversations?
Not necessarily in the format that we recrafted those in the January meeting. I think that might be something we need to go back and revisit with people.
So are you guys thinking 4? And then 4? Okay.
What were we last time?
4.
Okay. Hey, listen, real quick on that. We're using the word community quite a bit, but community could also be the parental involvement with parents themselves, family members, because it doesn't say business specifically, right?
Well, yeah, community could be, your work with your district improvement that has business members on it, having those conversations. But when you say broad community involvement, and this is why at Lone Star Governance, we're going into what, 3, right? This is why it takes so long, because that community piece takes a lot of time. And honestly, I honestly believe if COVID had not hit, we would have been way beyond. But we got so derailed with not being able to go out to the community and not being able to dress the community and be 6 feet and wear masks and, all of that kind of stuff. I think if we had not had that interruption, we would be, but the interruption is real. And so now we've got to figure out how we're going to get back on track with that. So I think from what I keep hearing over and over again, the discussion is how do we move and engage our community more in understanding what our student outcome goals are, how we're monitoring the progress. Other than, it's great in this board meeting, it sounds wonderful, but this is not broad community.
And I think our emphasis is not necessarily on our internal stakeholders, it's mostly our external stakeholders where we need to polish it up.
Yes, I agree. And, I was thinking about that on the way over here today. Remember the video you guys did? Mm-hmm. That might be a good place to update. Mm-hmm. Good place to update, because I just think that video is such a strong, powerful piece. Mm-hmm. And you think about, where can I reach a large group of people without interrupting them? So you're thinking playing it at the football game as people are walking into the stadium. That engages the community and allows them to hear the discussion. I keep forgetting you're behind me, Miss Watts. Sorry about that. Playing at the basketball games, making sure that it's played in the campuses. So maybe updating that video, since you have revised goals because of COVID, might be a great plan for you all.
Looking at all our systems of communication.
Mm-hmm.
And
Having it on the website, of course.
sending it out via social, several.
I
Yeah,
think
that'd
that's a
be the
very,
deal.
that's a very
Updating that video
doable
and placing them
approach.
in all campuses, all offices, and then the social media.
Social media.
Good
Yep.
deal.
So I think that's a good part of the plan.
Yeah,
I think that's a good
absolutely.
part of the plan. The next one is accountability. One, we scored ourselves at 12. And it's really because the amount of time that you spending on student outcomes in your discussions. A 12 is 25% or more. Masters is at 50% or more. You are just 47. So you're still at meets focus because just a few more percentage points and you have to hit the 50 mark, basically.
You're going to tell us how we eventually get those minutes eventually, right?
Yeah, we're gonna look at you guys are doing. Believe me, you guys are doing a great job on your board meetings. I always tell people, when they talk about consent agenda, I was like, you just go watch Donna ISD do consent agenda. They know how to do consent agenda. But it's because you have to remember, it's not just at your board meeting, it's every meeting that you have. It's committee meetings, it's special called meetings, it's everything but what's in, so if you want my recommendation on how to hit that hump over 50, reduce your number of special called meetings.
I think we're good with that.
Yeah, you're getting much better than what you were, but I honestly think by next quarter we can be at that 50%, don't you guys?
Yeah,
Especially if we're conscientious about it, and that comes with Mr. President and Superintendent, literally holding that agenda pretty captive, and like, do we really have to have a call meeting to do this, or because it's convenient for you, or can it wait until the next board meeting? And having some of those hard discussions about that. But I think you guys are on there. So do you guys agree we're still at a 12?
10-4.
Okay. The next one, meets focus. Last time you scored yourself as a 2 for interfering, self-evaluation.
You're on page 27?
What page are you on, 28 or 27?
Which one am I on?
You
I
should
don't
be
know,
on
we just
27?
did 27.
No, we did
26.
Yeah, so we should be on 27.
Progress accountability 1. Now I'm doing progress and accountability 2, 27.
Yeah, that's the one where you asked the question.
Yeah, so one of the things that has not been happening, and it's really not been happening with most of the school districts in Texas, is a cost of staff time analysis. That's, Dr. Dominguez, did you guys do that in Edgewood?
Yes, ma'am, and we've actually started doing that here as well.
Okay,
So
so
our staff has been using an LSG board tracker for how many minutes we're preparing for meetings, in meetings, and post meeting.
so do you think by the next quarter the board can receive a report on that?
Absolutely.
And then we would be looking at I guess the only thing that would be focusing for master's focus in this area would be your superintendent evaluation system. Are you holding it specifically to student outcomes?
I think you were working on that, right, Mr. Miguel?
Yes, we're currently working on some minor revisions, but
Okay.
even the one in place right now is directly linked to the LSG outcomes.
Okay, so we're going to keep that at a 2, but we think by the next quarter we can be to a 4. Okay.
Okay, whoa, hold on. What did you say? That's gonna be a 4, not a
Page
5.
27.
Yeah, but it's gonna be a 4, not a 5, right?
No, we're currently at a 2.
You said we're keeping it.
We're staying at 2 because you have not had the average cost of staff time.
Oh, I see. Okay, I got you.
Okay, and
That's
so we're
fair.
hoping to have that by the next quarter, and we're gonna talk about when is that next quarter gonna be, so we have an actual date to make sure that that happens.
Okay.
Okay, 28 is on systems and processes.
Where were we last time?
15.
Okay.
Y'all tell me. Read 15. Do you have more than 3 meetings a month?
No.
Okay. Do your meetings last more than 2 hours?
No.
Do you have more than 3 other topics per meeting? No. Do you get your materials at least 7 days in advance?
Yes.
When we say no edits to the board meeting, we're really talking about, are you pulling things off consent agenda?
No.
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 Poster child people, thank you very much. You're still at 15.
So say that, so you can repeat that again if you want to.
Poster child people. Okay, board promotion of the vision. Last time it was a 1, and it's probably still a 1, and you tell me why. Page
Study this.
29. Start at preparing to focus. Well, yeah, we might be able to move up.
Yeah, I feel like we might be at the 3 level here, Dr. McMahon, because we have been hosting the community meetings.
And all of those that you were just talking about in your strategic plan?
Yes.
Because those are, what's the difference between the meetings that, but it's not the superintendent doing it, it's the board doing it. So board members, have you guys been hosting 2-way communication meetings
About the goals.
about the goals and all of those things?
During
It's
the-
great that the superintendent's doing it,
No, we
but
have
we
not.
want to get the, do you see the difference?
Well, give an example of how that would take place if it's going to be in a board meeting.
You could have a town hall meeting where it's not a board meeting, because board meetings are not 2-way communication. Do we all agree? You know, if
Talking
you
about a
had
workshop then, like a
yeah,
workshop?
you'd have a town hall meeting where people can come up and ask questions because if people came up and had public comment tonight in a board meeting, can you respond back? No, so
No.
that's not 2-way communication. It's 1-way. So there are things that as a board, like when you get your video done, have a town hall meeting, show your video, do some of the presentations, and it's the board members addressing the public and not superintendent.
And it could also be through parental involvement meetings at the campuses.
Mhm.
Because that's how we done it before. We split, like, some, board members went to some campuses and so forth. So
Yeah,
we
that-
did
that-
all the campuses.
That's a good point.
Yeah, we divided it. We can do that too. once
When
we
did y'all do
finish,
that?
And then we stopped.
So I think that's why we gave us a 1 last time, remember? So would we still be a 1? Do you think we would still be a 1 now? Have you guys been out doing that as a board?
No, I think what we need to, no, but I think
No, we
what
have
we
not.
need to do is we need to do our video first and then set up. with the
I think that's a
campuses,
really
or
good
maybe like a town
recommendation,
hall
and
as
we've-
well, And we can develop a calendar for the,
Yeah, because remember when we scored this last time, it was about a year ago.
right.
And you all had been doing that, but we have not been doing that the last year.
No, we have
So
not.
we would have to score ourselves as a 0, wouldn't we?
No zeros here. Negatory.
In the last quarter, that's the last 4 months.
Okay, question for you here. Am I hearing correctly, because some of our colleagues here are saying that we were doing this as individual board members? So it could be 2 board members, 1 board member going to the campuses or going to a
Yeah,
colonia or
but they
going
were, they were
somewhere.
actually doing that within the quarter before we were doing this last evaluation. That was a year ago.
No, I understand, but what I'm saying is that if we pick up where they left off at that point in time, that would give us.
Yeah.
the
We're
credit for things.
evaluating what has happened over the last
No, well,
quarter.
we've been parked.
Right,
And I don't think there's anything wrong with putting 0, because the reality is you can't go out and do that right
Okay,
now.
well, just don't say it too many times anymore. Let's go
we're gonna
forward.
be at a 0.
0 and that's it.
But see,
Continue
that's the whole point, is after we have this discussion, the board president, superintendent, and I, we're gonna sit down and say, what do we have to do in the next quarter to move this up. And you can easily go from 0 to 3 to 9
I don't know.
based upon what you do.
I don't know if this can be done, but it's just a suggestion. I don't have a problem with it being a 0, but I would like to add an addendum to it that it has been done because of the pandemic. Not
I will make those comments on the report.
But that's just.
That
gonna be-
that has
That's
been
just put a love, that's just
that
for love.
that the
No,
well.
because it's not because we chose not
Not
do
to,
it.
no, it's not because you chose not to do it, it's just because you know,
Yeah, but people in
you had to
China,
stop. You
Connecticut, and
could not do
Washington
it.
are all gonna say the same thing, so.
I think, you know, when we look back, like I said, we were making tremendous progress, but COVID put it to a halt, and we have to be realistic. In the last quarter, did we do this, yes or no? No, we did not, because it was not safe to do it.
We have no point, don't use it.
Okay,
Don't use that
but,
as
and I
leadership,
will
no
put
points.
Dr. Valdez, I'll put a big star to make sure that there's a comment for that.
Thank you.
So, Ms. Dominguez, that video and everything's we gotta put it in the fast lane so that all of
Yes,
us
sir.
can.
Yeah, I think,
Que,
Ms.
que salga bien
Quintanilla-
purdy.
Ms. Quintanilla is the one that.
Ms.
like,
Quintanilla, you got your,
contacted us
okay,
and we
rocking and rolling. It's gotta look
We'll work
purdy.
on those
Gotta do it
copy
in
Better,
Spanish and
bigger,
English.
stronger.
Mr. Castillo, in Spanish and in English.
En español también, seguro que sí. Para que usted dime de Michoacán.
We'll get that ball rolling really
Ms.
quickly
Watts,
here.
we don't have to worry about that because we already have ours. It's just gonna be Joe and
And
Fernando.
No, it's gonna be a
and,
new
Mr.
one,
Reyna.
huh?
Ours is already
New
done.
hairdo, you got a new hairdo.
because the goals changed. So that's what we-
Okay, so the last one that we have is synergy and teamwork. And the last time we did this, you scored yourself at a 9. I think you have had 80% attendance in your board meetings. Policies and board operating procedures. Superintendent Dominguez, were we going to be working on some board operating procedures, or is that pretty much?
We are, but a lot of that is in our on our webpage already.
Okay.
When we adopted our AE local, we had some language around that, so I think we're in pretty good shape there.
And when you had to report your training hours, everybody was
Everybody is up to date.
compliant and up to date? And you all have done some of this in the past, but I think we could pick it up. I'm comfortable with a 9, but what I would really like to talk about is the 10 column. Okay, I do not think we're at 10 because I do not think that we have a good way to measure 10. And so I would like to work with the board president and the superintendent about how we can measure this. Yes, you've all completed your Lone Star governance. We know that. I mean, that's agree that all members adhere to all of the adopted constraints, board constraints. I think we need to revisit those board constraints and how do we monitor that the board members are staying within those constraints and the day-to-day operational advice. Those are very hard to do, but I would really like for the board to come up with some discussions on how can we monitor ourselves as a board to make sure that we're in those areas, and just get some ideas. So I still think you're at a 9 there in those areas. Does everybody agree? Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up because I did see Linda come back on, and I apologize for taking her time. Trustee Castillo, Secretary Castillo, I will get with you. We will put this together, and I am going to pass around. I'm just going to pass around this piece of paper because I'm going to make this easy, and I'll just bring it to you. I want every board. Y'all have to vote. We are, do you all vote with what we scored ourselves, yes or no? Everybody agree?
Yes.
I agree.
We agree.
Oh, well, I can't call a vote. I'm a speaker.
I
How
make
do
a
we all
motion
vote?
to
Do
accept
we vote in
the
favor
notice.
with, what was the total, 76 that we got points?
76, that's what I tabulated.
I can't add that fast. I'm sorry.
I added mentally, so I may be off a
okay.
quarter here, but 76.
So it might be a little bit less, but I think being an honest drop during COVID is better than trying to say, oh, yes, we're still doing all this great stuff because we know most people aren't.
So do I have a motion for the tabulation that we have collected together from Ms. McMahon? You approve, Ms. Watts? Do I have a second?
I second.
Second by Mari. Mr. Castillo, how do you vote?
In
Mr.
favor.
Valdez, how do you vote? I also vote in favor. Motion carries. Now we have Ms. Romero's up.
Well, I have one more thing. So, Ms. Perez, with your document, the last one, there's a place for all board members to sign. If you'll get that signatures for me. Okay, that'll be great. And I have one more thing to talk to you guys about. ISO, you guys remember ISO? ISO training. Okay, ISO training, your time is up. Everybody has to re-up pretty much on ISO. They just came out with the new ISO within the last month. Everybody completed training, and some of us have gotten certified. Some of the differences are one of the things I like is that they are spending more time training board members in understanding student populations, like you were talking about earlier, especially the emergent bilingual, and how in a board meeting to talk about students with disabilities in a person-first format. So that is ready, and my recommendation to the board president and the rest of the board and superintendent is to schedule a date, and it's 4-hour training, and let's get your ISO done. And if everybody is there, the entire team of 8 is there, you double dip and get team of 8 training with ISO at the same time. You can get both.
Yes, I spoke to Ms. Dominguez. We'll look at a date in April in the morning. AM would be preferable for all of us.
Just good.
So as long as everyone's available, we'll get it knocked out.
All right. Anybody have any questions for me?
No, ma'am, thank you.
Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure. Great job. Thank you.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead, Ms. Romeros.
Go ahead, Ms. Romero.
Yes, good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Superintendent Dominguez, and the community. Tonight, I am presenting the January report, and I hope that I'm able to stay online. Have had a great difficulty just keeping track of the meeting. On the governance side, in January, the superintendent presented the revised student goals using the 2021 STAR data as the baseline, and the goals were board approved during that meeting. The board also approved a revised resolution extending the COVID-19 paid leave for 2021-2022 by 7 days. That was in your governance section. Then on the special accreditation investigation, in February, the district put on hold most administrative positions, and the HR department will be operating without a director position until the hold on those administrative positions is lifted. That's something that's going on right now because of your budget process that the district is looking into. Then under the financial, the audits were submitted timely to TEA, and the staff met their IRS deadlines, meaning your W-2s and 1099s. And something that is not shown in January, but did get done in February, was that the cash forecast was submitted in February for that. And let me see, that was governance, that was financial. Then under the academic, in January, the TEA specialists reviewed the December 17 progress updates. And I'm happy to report that I think it was February 28th, that the superintendent received a report letting them know that the district had received all exceeding expectations on the December reports that were tip submitted on those. And so that was great news for your district. It reflects the staff's hard work and dedication to the school improvement plans and process that they're doing. And one more on the conservative directives. Well, everything's on target there and on track. And right now, the only thing is that the Director of Human Resources position is on a hold, and district it has that position on hold because of budget constraints. that pretty much does my report, unless anybody has any questions.
No, ma'am. Thank you so much. Hold on, Ms. McMahon does have some questions for
Mr.
you.
Romero, when Mr. Castillo and I finished this report for TEA for their self-evaluation, would you like us to send you a copy for your report?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Ms. Romeros. Next item is going to be executive session as authorized by the Texas Government Code, Section 55107, 72, 073, 074, 075, 076, 82, 83, 84. Discussion in executive will be superintendent's recommendation for personnel, terminations, rescinding recommendations updated on district personnel, discussion private consultation with the attorney regarding pending or litigation settlement matters where professional duties under the state board requires private consultation with our school attorney. The time is 7:17. 7:49, back in open session. Discussion and possible action to approve superintendent's recommendation of personnel.
At this time, Mr. De Los Rios, we have no recommendations for the board.
Next item, approval recommendations for professional hiring. No, you have no recommendation? No. Next item is adjournment. Do I have a motion?
I make the motion to adjourn?
Second? Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Watts. Mr. Castillo?
I vote in favor to that motion.
Mr. Valdez? I vote in favor. Motion carries. Meeting is over, 7:49.
Thank you.